1. Open Final Cut Pro and click on your already created C226 library and make a new event called Players Pub Jazz. 2. Import all the jazz clips into it. 'Be sure to select the copy option so you have a duplicate of the files. 'Click on the List Mode icon above the media files to show them as lists. Sometimes it's easier to find the right footage that way. 3. Make a project and name it Jazz Project. 4. Go to your workspace under the Window menu and select Default so yours will look normal. 5. You will start with your VO and build around it. Bring in your VO by selecting it in the event browser and dragging it down into the timeline. 6. If you don't see the audio meters on the right, hold down Command plus Shift plus 8. You can toggle them on and off. It's important to ensure that your audio levels are consistent. For this exercise, we want all our audio to fall between -12 and -6. Our VO is recorded a little lower than that. You can see it by playing that.
High school students crowd the stage, hoping for a chance to solo.
7. To increase it, click on the line and drag it up to 12 decibels.
Guest performer Tom Clark calls out songs as
you can also be more precise by clicking on the clip and changing the volume by hitting Ctrl+. Now the VO should be about the same level as the A roll and B roll, but you will need to tweak them as you go. When you are finished, make sure you play all your video all the way through to make sure the levels are consistent. 8. Once you lay down your VO, you will cut in your SOTs. To know where to go on the timeline, I will give you the numbers based on the SMPTE timecode. It goes as follows: hours, minutes, seconds, and frames. Don't be confused between seconds and frames. If it says 11 on the last number, it's not 11 seconds, it's 11 frames. If your camera shoots video at about 30 frames per second, that 11 represents about a third of a second. 9. Let's go to 19.24 into the timeline right after the VO says what it's like starting out. That's where you will cut in your first SOT. 10. Now you are going to edit the SOT you want to use. Find SOT-TC4 and scrub to 2 minutes, 38 seconds, and 25 frames, to where he says, "You know, what am I doing?" and drag all the way to the end.
You know, what am I supposed to do here? But it kind of creates this rush of adrenaline.
11. make sure your cursor is at 19.24. Click the second editing icon on top of the timeline. As you can see from the icon, it will paste the saw right where your cursor is. 12. Now you'll cut your second saw. Move your cursor to 00004228. Find Monica Herzeg's SOT-MH1 and click on the second editing icon, or you can hit a W. Her SOT is about 20 seconds, so let's show her for the first 10 and then place some B-roll over her showing what she's talking about, the communal nature of jazz. 13. Move your cursor to about halfway through Monica's SOT and place on top the clip called B-MS-taking-turns by selecting it and hitting the first editing icon. This one puts the B-roll on top so you can still hear what she's saying in the A-roll. 14. Combine that with the second clip that shows a closer shot of the red-haired sax player. That one is called B-TS-helping-out. These are chosen because they show Tom Clark and the older musician helping out other musicians, which goes with what she's talking about.
Kind of show the repertoire and the type of things to the younger ones, and it's a way to try out and see how it fits in. And it's just a part of the whole art exchange to have this communal gathering.
15. You need to turn down the volume on the B-roll, so bring it down to approximately -21 decibels. Bring down the second clip to -21 too, but use your Option key to make a keyframe at the end of Monica's SOT. You'll bring up the sound of the B-roll and let his solo play for several seconds.
Have this communal gathering.
Herzeg has toured all over the world with
Communal gathering.
Herzeg has toured all over Herzeg has toured all over the world with her band Bibelbrox, opening for Bet. Herzeg has toured all over the world with
16. You'll cut in another SOT of Herzeg at 01 18:23, where she's talking about being nervous. Move the cursor there and find the clip called SOT-MH3. Hit the W key to splice it in.
These musicians are feeling.
Scared, excitement, wondering how this works. I don't know.
17. After you splice it in, you'll notice there's a gap of blank space before the VO resumes. You will cut it out with the blade tool. To use the blade tool, you hit a B and you can cut right before you see the audio level go up to where the VO begins. Click back to the arrow tool, A, and click on that blank VO clip. Delete it. You'll see the clip slide backward to fill that space. Most of the time you want Final Cut Pro to do that, but sometimes you want it to just be able to place something anywhere in the timeline and have it stay there. For that, you can select the other arrow-like tool that is actually the position tool, P for a shortcut. Notice how it doesn't always snap back to the other items when you use that key. (18) After the VO says that jazz demands a spontaneity that other music doesn't, cut in the SOT-TC1.
Jazz demands a spontaneity that more informal music doesn't.
After the VO says overwhelming, cut in SOT-JK1.
It's be a little overwhelming.
There's a bit of, like, I guess kind of noise about, oh, what are the people thinking? How is everything going on around me? But mostly I'm just trying to focus on the music, because I've learned that really thinking a lot about what's going on around you kind of just messes up the solo.
20. After splicing it in, go to immediately after the VO says keep solos simple and splice in Dominic Ross's SOT-DR3. Cut his SOT at stuff.
Bloomington High School North student Dominic Ross says it's important to keep the solos simple.
And tried to avoid going into a complicated stuff.
21. After the VO says the crowd support means a lot,
Clark says
then
the
cut
crowd
in
support means a lot.
SOT-TC7.
As you wonder, well, what did I do wrong?
22. After the VO says support each other, cut in SOT-JKL3.
Of course, the musicians support each other.
They're we'll always be talking to each other, and usually if you think somebody did something good in their solo, you'll talk to them afterwards, say, hey, that was a good solo.
23. Add some B-roll on top of that part of the VO, continuing to Layton's SOT that shows that support. Use the clip of him nodding in approval called B-TS supporting, and bring down the volume so we can hear him.
What did I do wrong?
And of course, the musicians support each other.
You know, they're like, we'll always be talking to each other. And, usually if you think somebody did something good in their solo, you'll talk to them afterwards.
24. You don't want to end on a SOT if possible. So instead, we'll end his SOT by fading in the ending B-roll clip of everyone ending a song on stage. Find B-WS-ending and place it below the SOT so that you can still see Layton, but hear the music starting to increase.
Positive community. I really enjoy it.